Hi everyone, and thanks for joining. Today I'm going to walk you through this Archetype very easy Windows box available on Hack the Box platform. This is the first box from the starting point, third tier, so-called tier 2, don't forget to contemplate series of machines. And let's go through this learning outcomes introduction. In the third tier, you will acquire advanced skills in cybersecurity pen testing, extending your knowledge and capabilities. You'll start by mastering the art of exploiting vulnerabilities like XXC, IDOR, and Log4j, allowing you to uncover and leverage weaknesses in target systems. You'll also delve into the world of cookie manipulation, giving you the ability to manipulate and control user sessions, a crucial skill for ethical hacking. As you progress, you'll learn about binary path hijacking and exploiting sudo permissions, enabling you to perform privilege escalation effectively. Understanding the basics of brute forcing will be a valuable tool in your pen testing toolkit, helping you uncover weak passwords and gain unauthorized access. Moreover, you'll explore how to exploit LXD for privileged file system access and gain insights into exploiting insecure functions like strcmp in PHP, which are frequently used in web applications. This comprehensive tier equips you with a broad range of advanced techniques and knowledge for a successful career in cybersecurity pen testing. So in summary, in this tier, we can learn how to exploit XXC, IDOR, Log4j, and perform cookie manipulation. Then learn how to exploit binary path hijacking and sudo permissions for privilege escalation. Then learn the basics of brute forcing. Then learn how to exploit LXD for privileged file system access. And lastly, learn how to exploit insecure functions like strcmp in PHP. I'm already connected to Starting Point VPN network. And let's proceed to spawn the target machine. This machine has tags protocols, MSSQL, SMB, PowerShell, Reconnaissance, remote code execution, clear text credentials, information disclosure, and anonymous guest access. As usual, I already downloaded this official write-up. I will go through it, focusing on hands-on part, and go through these test questions towards the end of the video. Let's first test out the connectivity with ICMP echo request and replies, though not mandatory. You see the instance is responsive and TTL as usual for Windows machine 127. Then let's proceed to run nmap with switches SC, SV. Let's give it some time. According to the walkthrough, there should be a couple of ports open, highlighting SMB and MSSQL ports. And let's see, in our case, we have 995 out of 1000 ports closed. Open are 135, 139, 445, and 1433. Let's save this nmap output into our notes file. Let's include ping. And let's proceed first to enumerate the SMB service with SMB client tool. Let's use switches dash big N for no password and dash big L. This option allows you to look at what services are available on the server. Let's first run SMB client dash H, and we see here dash big L for list and dash big N for no pass. So let's proceed to run command from the walkthrough. And we see 4 shares listed: admin, backups, C, and IPC. Let's try to connect to admin and C. Access is denied. Let's try for C. Again, access is denied. Let's try for backups. Great, we were able to connect to it without any password provided. Let's type help to get a list of possible commands. Let's now try with ls or dir. We have this prod dts config file listed. Let's download it to our local attacker machine with get command. And let's now exit from here. Let's see what's the type of this file. ASCII text. Let's get it out then. And here we see user ID, archetype, \SQL SVC. So host archetype and user SQL SVC, and its password. So initially in the nmap output, we saw there was service on port 1433 MSSQL. And let's now try to interact with it using InPacket's MSSQL client tool and these credentials. Let's save this output also in the notes file. I'll verify if I already have InPacket on my machine. I already have InPacket on my machine. I'll switch to opt InPacket, but in case it wasn't there, I would proceed to run this set of commands to clone the repo and install requirements. So let's now switch to InPacket and its example subdirectory. Let's see if MS SQL client is there. It is. Let's now run this command. Python 3 MSSQL client py-h. And let's now try to connect to MSSQL server by adding the Windows out switch. So the command will be Python 3 MSSQL client host, then user at target IP, then dash Windows dash auth. So in my case, how I copy pasted the host and user from the config file with the backslash host backslash user, I have this error now. Encryption required, switching to TLS, error in line 1, login failed for user archetype guest, but our user is SQL SVC. So compared to the walkthrough, here should be slash, not backslash as I typed it. So let's try with that. Great, now we are dropped to SQL terminal as expected, and we successfully authenticated to Microsoft SQL Server. Let's run help now. Let's now refer to this linked Pentest Monkey cheat sheet and check what is the role we have in the server. This is the GitHub version of their cheat sheet, and I'll copy paste this command. I have an error now, incorrect syntax near quotes, so let's check the quotes. Great, it works now. Select is SRV role member sysadmin. It's 1, that translates to true. Then let's proceed according to the cheat sheet to set up command execution through XP CMD shell. We'll use this set of commands, but before that, first it's suggested to check if the XP CMD shell is already activated by issuing the first command, exec XP CMD shell net user. The error mentions XP-CMD shell component is turned off as part of security configuration for this server. A system administrator can enable the use of XP-CMD shell by using spconfigure. And let's try with this one. XP-CMD shell, who am I? Also blocked. Okay, let's refer to the cheat sheet and copy paste this part from the cheat sheet. Here in the command execution section. Let's correct our quotes. Again, let's correct these quotes. Again, let's correct quotes. And that should be it. Let's try once again this command exec xp-cmd shell net user with corrected quotes. Now it works. Now we can see list of user accounts. Let's now try to execute once again this system command xp-cmd shell who am I. And now we see archetype \SQL SVC. Finally, we managed to get a command execution. Now we'll attempt to get a stable reverse shell. We will upload the nc64.exe binary to the target machine and execute an interactive cmd.exe process on our listening port. We can download the binary from here. Let's do that. So that's this address. Let's download it. I'll navigate to the folder where we downloaded the netcat and start the simple HTTP server, then the netcat listener in a different tab by using the following command: sudo python 3-m HTTP server 80, then in new tab sudo nc-lbnp 443. In order to upload the binary in the target system, we need to find the appropriate folder for that. We'll be using PowerShell for the following tasks, since it gives us much more features than the regular command prompt. In order to use it, we will have to specify it each time we want to execute it until we get the reverse shell. To do that, we will use the following syntax: PowerShell-C, then command we want to run. Let's first print the current working directory with xpcmd shell PowerShell-C pwd. It's C Windows System 32. And as a user Archetype SQL SVC, it is expected that we don't have enough privileges to upload files in such system directory, and only user administrator can perform actions there with their higher privileges. We need to change the current working directory somewhere in the home directory of our user, where it will be possible to write this netcat binary. The plan is to switch to our current user's downloads directory and download netcat binary over there. Let's proceed to do that. Let's start this Python server and start netcat local listener. So we'll first download netcat to SQL SVC users downloads directory. Let's first try to do that. So let's prepare this command. Here, as I copy-pasted it from the walkthrough, it's split into lines, so let's merge it back to one line. We expect to be able to find this users, SQL SVC, and download subdirectory. Then we'll use this our attacker's IP address. Okay, we'll run this command from the walkthrough a bit adjusted, but before that, let's do a quick enumeration. Let's try to switch directly to C and then list its contents. We see user subdirectory. Let's switch to users. We see SQL SVC, our user, also administrator. At the moment, we'll switch to our user, where we expect we can download and write files. Let's switch to this downloads subdirectory. Okay, we can list the contents of our user's downloads directory. At the moment, there is nothing there. So let's proceed to try to download netcat from our attacker instance to the MSSQL instance. With this command, we are actually changing current working directory to C users SQL SVC downloads and downloading over there netcat binary. And this shows we had a successful connection. Let's list the contents of downloads directory once again. And there is netcat. Now let's start the mentioned netcat listener on our attacker machine, on port 443. Now let's bind cmd.exe through the nc64exe to our netcat listener. Let's adjust this command from the walkthrough. It should be in one line, not two. And we are here aiming at our attacker IP address, tan0 for Hack the Box VPN network. And port 443. And we have a connection. We can confirm our reverse shell and our foothold to the system. We are dropped to user's downloads directory, and the user flag, user.txt, can be found in the user's desktop directory. We'll need the content of this user.txt file to be able to answer one of the task's questions. And we can get the content of user flag by running type user.txt. And to be able to find root.txt relevant for one of the task's questions, we'll have to escalate our privileges. For privilege escalation, we are going to use a tool called WinPeas, which can automate a big part of the enumeration process in the target system. You can find more information for enumerating Windows system for privilege escalation paths in the Hack the Box Academy module, Windows Privilege Escalation. Let's check it out quickly. And let's proceed to download WinPeas from this link. And here is the WinPeas GitHub repo. We'll proceed to transfer WinPeas to the target MSSQL system by using once more the Python HTTP server. So let's restart the server on port 80 and download WinPeas. First we'll switch to Powershell and then run wget. At the moment in this download directory there should be netcat. It is, and we'll now add WinPeas. Let's switch to PowerShell. And then adjust this wget command to download WinPeas. And let's verify it's downloaded. Wait there. It's there, great. And let's proceed to run it. Let's scroll to the top of WinP's output and I'll highlight our lines of interest. And let's now find in this output this PowerShell history file and current token privileges as seen in the walkthrough. Here are current token privileges with SE impersonate privilege enabled, highlighted. And here we notice PowerShell PS read line console host history txt file. The walkthrough mentions that from the output we can observe that we have SE impersonate privilege. More information can be found here, which is also vulnerable to juicy potato exploit. However, we can first check files where credentials could be possible to be found. As this is a normal user account as well as a service account, it is worth checking for frequently accessed files or executed commands. To do that, we will read the PowerShell history file, which is the equivalent of bash history for Linux systems. The file console host history txt can be located in this directory, and we'll navigate to it and try to type console host history contents. And more on PowerShell readline you can find out on this Microsoft page. And let's get out its contents. Autocomplete does not work here. Great, and we'll save this line in our notes file, net.exe, use the archetype backups, user administrator, and the password scene. And with this credential, let's use psexec again from the in-packet suite to get a shell as the administrator. Let's run this from in-packet's examples subdirectory. Let's stop this server, we don't need it up and running anymore. Let's switch to in-packet. And let's provide password. We see requesting shares, found writable share admin, uploading file, opening SVC manager, creating service, starting service. Great, we are dropped to C, Windows System 32. Let's verify who are we. And we are anti-authority system. From here, we should be able to find the root flag on the desktop of the administrator user. Let's switch to C user's administrator desktop and list its contents. Great, there's root flag. And after we get root flag contents, by running type root.txt, let's switch to hack the box user interface to go over tasks questions. Task 1. Which TCP port is hosting a database server? That's the MSSQL port from our Nmap output. What is the name of the non-administrative share available over SMB? That was the only share without $sign at the end of its name, so backups. Task 3. What is the password identified in the file on the SMB share? That's the password from the config file. Task 4. What script from in-packet collection can be used in order to establish an authenticated connection to a Microsoft SQL server? That's the MSSQL Python script we used. Task 5. What extended stored procedure of Microsoft SQL Server can be used in order to spawn a Windows command shell? That's xpcmd shell. Task 6. What script can be used in order to search possible paths to escalate privileges on Windows host? That's WinPs binary we used. Task 7. What file contains the administrator's password? That's the PowerShell console history file we saw in WinPs output. And after submitting contents of user.txt and root.txt files here, we say we completed the box and we can terminate the target instance. So that would be all for this video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this one. Until next video. Bye for now.